Today we're going to be talking about 9.3% and decimals. Go ahead and write this slide down for me. All right, so here's a few notes about how to change from a percent to a decimal. The first one, let's say that I had started off with a percent. So let's say that it was 50%. If I look at that 50%, the decimal point is technically right here at the end of the number. So it tells me move the decimal place or point 2 places to the left. So it would just be 1, 2. So my decimal point for 50% would just be 0.5. All right, so then let's imagine for the next example, I've got a decimal, but I want to change it to a percent. So let's say I had the decimal 0.45. What do the directions tell me to do? Everyone? Okay, move the decimal 2 places to the right. So I'm going to go 1, 2. Now the decimal point is there at the end. 45, and then you have to add the percent sign there at the end. So 0.45 is the same thing as 45%. Let's say that I had a fraction, let's say 2/5. Put 2/5 into your calculator for me, okay? I want to change 2/5 into a percent. Let's say that I said 2/5 of the class was here today, and I want to know how much of the class in a percent was here today. When you divide 2 divided by 5, and you turn it into a decimal, what do you get? 0.4, okay? So then, now I have a decimal. You could basically use the same information that you're doing for a decimal to percent. It tells me to move the decimal place 2 places, which direction? To the right. So you're going to go 1, 2. What would go right there in that little area? A zero. So what's my answer?
40%.
40% is the same thing as 2/5. So if 2/5 of the class was here, 40% of the class was here. All right, so we're going to do some practice for these ones. Number 1, our instructions say to write the percent as a decimal. The first one is 48%. Where is the decimal point on 48%? In the back, at the end, okay? My instructions tell me to move it 2 places. Which way? To the left or the right? To the left. 1, 2. So what's my answer? 0.48. And that's all you have to do for changing a percent to a decimal. Next up, 9%. Ashley, do it for me. Where's the decimal point at? Okay, after the 9, how many places do I move it? 2. Which direction? To the left. 1, 2. Okay, what do I put in that space? 0. And what's your answer? 0.09 is correct. Jakari, next one. Tell me what to do. Move the decimal where? Okay, how many places to the left? 2 times, so what do you get? 0.755, and that's your answer. You just moved it 2 places to the left. I want you guys to do the final 2 on your own. What do I do for problem D?
Move the decimal 2 times.
2 times to the left, good job. 1, 2.
0.005.
You are correct, 0.005. Tati, do the last one. Okay, it's at the end. 2 places to the left. 3 is your answer. Any questions on how to write a percent as a decimal? For number 2, it says write the decimal as a percent. Basically what we're doing is just the opposite of exactly what we just did. So it says 0.13. My goal is to turn this into a percent. Which direction should my decimal point be moved to? To the right. How many times? 2 times. Okay, so you can just do your work right there. 1, 2. Now my answer is what?
13%.
Okay, 13%. Good job for remembering to put that percent sign. Ashley, help me out with the next one. It says 0.04. What should I do? Move it 2 times to the right, and what do you get? 4% is correct. Last one, Mason. 0.027. Change it to a percent. Okay, move it to the right 2 times, and what are you left with? 2.7%. Once again, thank you for telling me the percent sign. And if you ever want to, just go back, reread the directions, write the decimal as a percent, then you know your answer is going to come out as a percent. Next step, the final one that we're going to do with this idea is write the fraction as a percent. So the first thing we have to do is turn this fraction into a decimal, and then we do the same rules that we did with our decimal. Problem A says 5/6. What's the first thing I want to do? Okay, put 5/6 into your calculator. When you divide it out, what's it come out as a decimal? 0.83 repeating. What does 0.83 repeating mean? The 3 is repeating, okay? So I could do 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. What I want you to do is I just want you to do 3 numbers, okay? So I've got 3 numbers there. Now what do? Okay, how many times to the right? 2 times. 1, 2. So what's my answer?
83.2%.
Good job. All right, so at that point now you've gotten rid of your repeating because we put in that it was repeating right there. All right, so I only ever need you to do 3 numbers. Let's go on to the next one. Kayla, do it for me. 3/7.
You put into your calculator as 3/7.
Okay. And what do you get when it comes out?
You get 0.428571426.
Okay, so it just keeps going and it keeps on repeating. Now, how many numbers do I want you to put?
3.
I only need you to do 3 numbers. So if I know I need these 3 numbers right here, that 8 right there needs to be rounded or it needs to stay it. But we got to figure out, should it be 0.428 or should it be 0.429? 0.429, because look, this guy right here, he looks at that guy, he's 5. Since it's 5 or bigger, then the 8 is going to bump up. So now it's 0.429. Remember, I only need 3 numbers. So now, how do I turn that decimal into a percent, Kayla? Move it 2 places to the right, and what do you get? 42.9%. Notice we've gotten rid of the repeating sign. All we have 3 numbers, 42.9%. Sherelle, problem C, 9/13.
9/13 into calculator comes out as 0.6923.
Okay, 0.6923. All right, so I've got 4 numbers there. We've got to round that last one to give me the 3 that are correct. So what do you get when you round it?
692.
Okay, I'm just going to have 0.692. And now I need that to be turned into a decimal. How do I do that?
You move the decimal 2 places to the right.
2 places to the right, and what do you get?
You get 69.2%.
69.2% is correct. Any questions? Okay, I want you to write down this story problem for me. Evan's resting heart rate is 72 beats per minute. When he's playing basketball, his heart rate is 250% of his resting heart rate. How many beats per minute is his heart beating when he's playing basketball? No. Tati, I want you to tell me what you did.
Oh, I changed 2.50 into a decimal.
Okay, so the whole thing we've been talking about is changing percents to a decimal. So we are going to change this percentage to a decimal. If I had 250%, what would that be as a decimal, guys?
2.5.
Okay, because you know that you've got, if it's 250%, my decimal's right here, and I'm going to move it over 1, 2. So now I have 2.5. Okay, then what did you do, Tati?
I multiplied 72 by 2.5.
Okay, you're going to do 2.5 and then multiply that by the 72 beats. So I want you guys to put that in your calculator to see what you get. 180 beats per minute. So you want to make sure that your unit is right. Remember, whenever you've got a story problem, always make sure that you label it. So let's just think about it. If when he's resting, so he's sitting down, if 72 beats is his normal thing when he's sitting, if he's up playing basketball, running and moving around, does it make sense that his heartbeat would be more beats per minute? Okay, so your answer does make sense, all right? It looks like more than double his heart is racing when he is up playing basketball. Any questions about that? I'm going to do 5 review problems today from sections 9.1 and 9.2, and that'll help you with our quiz that we have next Monday. Problem A says, write the percent as a fraction in simplest form. I've got 78%, but I don't want it as a percent. I want it as a fraction. What do I have to do?
Turn it to a decimal.
No, not turn it to a decimal.
Put it over 100.
Put it over 100, because remember, every time that you have percent, it's always out of 100. Now, is there any way to make that more simple?
Divide by 2.
Okay, you could divide by 2. When you divide by 2, what do you get? 39 over 50. Can 39/50ths be reduced at all?
No.
No, it cannot. So the answer in simplest form is 39/50ths. Problem B, kind of doing the opposite. I'm asking you to write the fraction as a percent. Who remembers how to do that? Tati, what do I do?
So you put and then you try to find the denominator of 100, and 25 times 4 equals 100, so you do 4 times 4 on both sides, and you get 50.
Okay. She showed us one way that we're trying to get a denominator of 100. So you do have to multiply the top and the bottom by 4. Okay, and you get 52. All right. So that is definitely one way that you could do it. Who else can tell me another way that you can do it? I want you to plug this into your calculator. 13/25. What do you get? Okay, 0.52. All right, so same thing here. We are trying to write it as a percent. As you can see, neither one of these are a percent yet. So here's the deal. Tati, with the step that you did, you would then have to turn that into 0.52, okay? So you kind of added a little bit of a step there. You can use your calculator or you can work it out the way you did. But once you do that, then you've got to move it over 2 times, and either way, what would your answer be? 52%. And that's how you write a fraction as a percent. So it says, what percent of 600 is 180? Does anybody remember the formula that we did last week? Mason, what was it?
Equals P over 100.
You are correct. Is over of equals P over 100. So the P is the easiest one to find because that's my percent. Does my problem tell me what the percent is? No, it doesn't. So we've got to find what the percent is. So I know I'm going to keep the P over 100. Does it tell me the is or the of?
Yes.
Yes. What is my is?
180.
Okay, good job. Because is 180. Whatever number comes after the word is going to be your is. And then what's my of?
600.
Okay, because it says of 600. So now you're going to find this proportion. You're trying to figure out what P is. I do not care which way you do it. You can do cross products. You can do algebra. You can do equivalent ratios. You guys go ahead and find it out for me. And raise your hand if you've got the correct answer. Okay, so once again, I don't care which way you do it. The one we're going to kind of go over right now is cross products. So if I do that, you're going to do 180 times which number?
100.
180 times 100 equals what?
1800.
Equals 600p.
Oh.
Okay, what is 180 times 100?
18,000.
18,000 equals 600p. You want to get that p by itself, so you divide by 600 on both sides. And when you do that, what do you get?
30%.
Okay, now look. If you see right there, I've got a p, so we know also it's asking me what percent of 600, so your answer is what, guys? 30%. Okay, for those of you who did it with equivalent ratios, did you guys get the same thing?
Yes.
Okay, so for that one, it actually might have been even easier. All you had to do was do what? You divide by 6 here, you divide by 6 here. 180 divided by 6 equals what? 30%. All right, so that way actually does seem a whole lot faster. But once again, I do not care how you get it. When you're doing proportions, you guys are allowed to choose which way you want to do it. Problem D. 18 is 45% of what number? We're still going to use the same exact way that we just did it before. You're going to use it, but you've got to plug in different numbers. Is over of equals P over 100. As we go over this, what's my is? 18. What's my of? We don't know it. What's my P?
45%.
45 over 100. Okay? So when you multiply it out, 18 times 100 equals 45x. What is 18 times 100?
1,800.
1,800 equals 45. What do I do now?
Time 45. I'm dividing by both sides.
Divide both sides by 45, and what do you get?
40.
X equals 40. Should this be a percent?
No.
No, it is not a percent. Okay? Last and final problem for today. What is 32% of 200? Now, if you remember, you can do the is over the of equals P over 100. Does anybody remember an even more simple way that I could do this problem? Instead of doing is over of equals P over 100. What can I do? Change 32% to a decimal. What is 32% changed to a decimal, guys? 0.32. Okay, remember your decimal is right here and you're just moving it 2 places over. And then what do I do with my 200?
64. Oh.
64.
What do I do to the 200? Multiply it.
Yeah.
When you do that, what do you get?
64.
64. Okay, so that's a very easy way. You could have done it the way we just did it with is over of equals P over 100. You would still get the same answer of 64. Okay, so this is everything that you need to know for how to do your homework for tonight, 9.3. These ones that we just did, those 5 problems are review that you're going to want to know for your quiz that's coming up next Monday. For tonight, there's just 10 homework problems, so go ahead and pull out your piece of paper and we'll write this down for homework tonight.